Hey, what's going on, LinkedIn? I hope everybody's having a great day. It is unseasonably gorgeous here in New York City. It's a little weird, but I'm glad I get to step outside and talk to you. This past Sunday was the Super Bowl. Obviously a lot of hype around the game, around the ads. A lot of people saying that both were boring. I personally think that one of the issues with the ads these days is that so many of them go live online long before they actually air on television, which takes away a certain element of surprise and delight that might happen when you're seeing a really cool or funny or entertaining, inspiring ad for the first time. What I did want to talk about today, my three things were all about branded content. So number one, looking at nudge data, we were able to see that branded content typically offers 48 seconds of attention. That means consumers actively engaging and consuming branded content for 48 seconds on average. This is phenomenal because if you think about the closest thing we have to countermeasure that, we've got a 30-second TV spot. And we know that, yes, TV has all sorts of scale, but when people are watching TV, they're on their phones, they're in the other room, they're fast forwarding, not necessarily paying attention to those 30 seconds. So to have 48 seconds with a piece of branded content and know that people are actively scrolling through and reading the article, watching the video, just shows how incredibly powerful and valuable branded content can be to marketers. Number two, we were thinking about some of the value of branded content, what it actually does besides that consumption, which obviously is where it all starts. Well, we know that with branded content, there's 107% greater brand recall than with television. I'm not making up these stats. We've got nudge data and we've got IAB benchmarks for TV and video that we're looking up against. So case in point, one brand that was driving content to, that was driving traffic to a piece of branded content, so sponsored by the brand on a publisher site, and two, a piece of thought leadership, what I traditionally think of as content marketing, a piece of content being created by the brand for distribution. And on the branded content, we saw an 88% lift in brand recall, and on the content marketing, on the thought leadership, 94% brand recall. That means that people who were exposed to both those pieces of content were able to, after a short amount of time, respond to a survey and say not only had they been exposed to the ad, but they remembered the brand. So obviously that's very important. But more importantly is what gets me to number three. It's about conversions. It's about driving real business results. So we see that a 1 to 3% conversion rate when it comes to branded content. Typically across channels, you could see anything from less than 1% to maybe 5%. I did some Googling online, and different sources will give you all sorts of numbers and tell you upwards of 10%. But really, let's say 1 to 5% at max conversion rate. So what do we see with branded content? We see 1 to 3%. So that means that there's a tremendous opportunity there to drive real, not just the brand recall and the brand sentiment and all that fluffy stuff, but the real important thing. Are people spending money with you? Are they signing up for your service? Are you getting your actual business result from your advertising? So branded content is pretty powerful when it comes to that. I think one of the problems that I have with this number of 1 to 3% is that from all the advertisers, all the marketers that I speak to, I know that many of them aren't even measuring for conversions because many of them are really thinking of content as just being what we call a top of the funnel activity, something to increase brand recall or brand lift or brand sentiment, as opposed to a middle and lower funnel activity, which is actually looking at driving business results. And if you're not thinking about your content through that type of strategy, driving business results, then you're not going to be measuring for it. So that's why I suspect that as marketers continue to evolve and understand that branded content really can be powerful to the middle and lower parts of their funnel as well, they'll start tagging up their pages and dropping pixels properly so they can measure the actual results. And we'll see that 1 to 3% conversion rate continue to go up because branded content's awesome. Not for real, it is. That's it. Have a great day.